A short story by Paul McCann, Getting Out of the Gunfire. It was a warm summer evening in 1969. Belfast was burning. A blanket of thick black smoke covered the sky. On the fringe areas, people were told to leave, or they, too, would be burned out. It was madness. Hundreds of those who left their homes torched them so nobody would take up residence. Many others had not the time to gather up their possessions. Their homes were petrol bombed as they slept. Stones were thrown from the Smithfield markets, which was a spare ground, as city shoppers once parked their cars. Now the car park was a pick-up place for those families who needed emergency transport. Walking up the footpath at Peter's Hill was a large family with all their earthly possessions in tow. A young lad of about 15 years pushed a wheelbarrow with a TV set that was wrapped in sheets and blankets. Behind him was his father, pushing a large cart with a bed and a wardrobe. The mother and the older girls had a suitcase in each hand. They walked along towards the car park, where a man waited in a truck. As he saw them coming, he jumped out of the truck and he ran to help them. As he did, he was being shot at by snipers. The bullets missed him, but he was wondering when the next volley of shots would come. Completely ignorant of the danger, the family man ran to greet the truck driver. The father stopped pushing his cart and reached out his hand. "Hello there. We're in the McGuigans from East Belfast." "No, hello, I'm Bobo," said the truck driver to Mr. McGuigan. "Let's get all the stuff in the truck." Bobo stood at the back of the truck as the Maguires threw up all the items hastily. They were tied down. So Bobo, ignoring the danger of the sniper on the rooftop, told everyone to get in the truck. As Bobo opened up the door, a single shot ripped through the front cabin of the truck. Another and another shot was fired, and Bobo started up the truck. As Bobo tore off down North Queen Street, he shouted, "For God's sake, some say a prayer." Bobo turned the truck to avoid a large crowd who were running towards the truck with petrol bombs in their hands. He threw the truck around Carlisle Circus as a gunfight erupted on both sides of the Crumlin Road. The small truck ran the gauntlet without so much as a scratch. Bobo was in such a state of shock he forgot where he was going. He just kept driving at full speed until it was quiet and the darkness had fallen. The truck sat on the side of the road with all the household goods now getting soaked in the rain. "Where are we, Bobo?" said Mr. McGuigan. "Oh, God only knows, but we're alive. Let's all get some sleep and see how it looks in the morning," said Bobo. Bobo got up early and shook the McGuigans. The sound of the cows and the crows stuttered the silence, and Bobo pointed to a distant farmhouse. "I'm going to get directions over there. Stay here, I'll be back." The McGuigans all looked at each other as Bobo ran off towards the farmhouse. It seemed like hours passed when all of a sudden the rain stopped and Mrs. McGuigan got out to change the baby's nappy. They were suddenly surrounded by 6 or 7 cars and trucks. Man jumped out from the trucks holding bundles of clothes. Bobo jumped out and smiled at the McGuigans. Then some women got out and opened the boot of their cars and produced warm scones and flasks of tea. There was milk for the babies, and an envelope was handed over to Mr. McGuigan. The man who handed over the envelope had hands as big as shovels. His arms were as thick as a tree trunk, and his shoulders were as wide as a doorway. On his face he wore the kindest smile, and he softly spoke to all the McGuigans, who stood there in stunned state of shock. "Well, no, Bobo was telling us about your trouble, and all of us local farmers punched in what we could afford, and we'd like you to have this. It's not much, mind you, but it'll get you on your feet and into a new home." He pointed to a field and he said, "Bobo told us he was a builder and he has a lot of helpers who'll come here and build you a home. So it's all been settled. You'll stay with us until your new home is built." There were tears of joy and laughter. There was much happiness there in that presence that you couldn't put it into words. With everyone all helping, it had made the situation much easier. And when everyone had eaten and changed into some clean clothes, all the country folk got in their cars and trucks and said, "Follow us." "I'll follow you then," said Bobo. The small truck loaded with some household items slowly made its way down the road with Bobo and the McGuigans. Prayers were being rattled off at great speed. It was about 7 years later on that the new housing estate was finished. There were 300 houses, all built around the field, promised to the McGuigans. The estate had accommodated thousands of people who were burnt out of their homes. At no cost to them, they were able to pick up the pieces of their lives and make a new start. Sometimes things have to go wrong before they can ever go right again. That's the end of the story.